She stood before me, 10 feet tall, armored in silver scales, her scent thick with lunar spice. Her voice was like broken thunder. My orifice is useless to your kind, human. I feel nothing. I bear nothing. I smiled. Not because I wanted to conquer her, but because I already knew something she didn't. Love wasn't about biology. It was about breaking the unbreakable. And tonight, the stars would burn differently. I didn't come here for war. I came because I had nothing left to lose and everything to gain. Earth had exiled me after I broke the Martian treaty. I was the last ambassador anyone trusted, and the only one insane enough to answer her invitation. Queen Jarlinith of the Virelian Dominion. The devourer of suns. The matriarch of emptiness. I had seen her only once in the Intergalactic Council. Her voice had frozen entire debates. Her presence had sent diplomats into unconscious panic. But when I looked at her, all I saw was someone alone. And loneliness, I knew better than most, was far more dangerous than any weapon. The throne room was carved into a living asteroid, pulsing walls, dim nebula lights, humming veins of bioluminescent blue. Her guards, all female, watched me like a wild experiment. I didn't blame them. A human standing this close to the queen was either delusional or doomed. "You seek alliance?" she asked, stepping down from her crystalline pedestal. "Or is it death you crave?" "I seek connection," I said. "Not conquest." Her lipless mouth curled into something cold and amused. "Typical male. You think your warmth means something to a species bred in vacuum." She circled me like a predator studying prey. Her eyes, 6 of them, glowed like red stars behind a gossamer veil of transparent silk. I held my ground. Let her smell me. Let her decide what part of me she'd tear open first. But she didn't attack. She did something worse. She laughed. "Do you know how many human envoys I've dismembered?" "Enough to know I'm not one of them," I answered, voice steady. A long pause. Then, she raised one clawed hand and tapped it slowly against her temple. "You burn hotter than our suns. I can smell your desire like oxygen leaking in vacuum." "I don't deny it," I said, meeting her gaze. "But it's not just carnal." Her eyes narrowed. "Then what is it?" "Curiosity. Admiration. And maybe, a need to know if a woman who rules the stars is capable of feeling anything more than power." "There." I said it. Her expression didn't change, but the air did. The throne room shifted from sterile to humid. Her body language, unreadable before, suddenly flinched almost imperceptibly. She turned sharply, her cloak of synthetic feathers trailing sparks as she climbed back up to her pedestal. "I will not be insulted with primitive flattery." "Then insult me back," I said. "Make me feel it." A pause. She stared at me like she wanted to peel my soul open. "You think I'm broken. Don't you, human? I think you were taught to believe that feeling makes you weak. But what if it makes you the last true ruler left in this dying galaxy?" The words hung in the thick, violet air between us. Then, without warning, she whispered a command in Virelian. 2 guards approached. "Strip him," she ordered. "Not for shame. For study." I didn't flinch as they peeled off my uniform, leaving only the skin I was born in. Her eyes studied every inch of me, not with lust, but with calculated fascination. A queen dissecting the mystery of warmth. My heart beat louder than it should have. I let her see that. Let her hear it. She descended again, her sharp fingers reaching toward me but stopping inches from my chest. "What do you want from me?" she whispered. "I want the truth," I said. "About you. About what you feel when you look at me." She leaned closer. Her breath wasn't air, it was pheromonal mist, thick with ancient memory and alien heat. Her voice barely trembled when she spoke next. "I feel confused." I exhaled, slow. That was something. She turned and snapped her fingers. "Take him to the chambers of observation. Let him rest. Let him think. Let him sweat." "Alone?" one guard asked. Her eyes met mine again. "No," she said. "I will observe him myself." They took me through a hallway of breathing walls into a chamber that pulsed with golden biolight. There was no bed. Only a shallow pool of heated liquid and a platform that floated above it, like an altar. As I lay there, tension simmering, I heard the doors hiss open. She entered. Still wearing her crown. Still wrapped in frost. But there was a flicker in her movement now, an uncertainty she couldn't disguise. She sat across from me, silent. We didn't speak for what felt like hours. I let her watch. Let her try to decipher why I wasn't afraid. At last, she asked, barely audible. What does it feel like, human? To want something that can never be yours? I looked directly into her eyes. I'll let you know, once I decide you're truly unattainable. Her breath hitched. And then, she blinked. Twice. The Virelian blink. A gesture of discomfort. Or longing. Maybe both. The heat in the room rose. I didn't move. Neither did she. But I saw the smallest part of her, just below the jawline, glow. Was it possible? Had her ancient, supposedly useless biology stirred? No. I must have imagined it. But when she leaned forward, closer than ever before, and whispered in her native tongue, "I should kill you." I whispered back in mine. "Then why do I make you tremble?" And for the first time in centuries, the alien queen had no answer. Her scent changed. Subtle at first. But undeniable. I had spent hours floating half-naked on that heated platform, skin glistening with Virelian vapor, and I knew the difference between artificial atmospherics and her real presence. Now she was close again. Too close. Her breath, usually neutral and filtered, carried warmth. Not heat from machinery. Heat from within. She hadn't touched me. Not yet. But her eyes, those molten red stars, followed the rise and fall of my chest like she was watching something sacred breathe for the first time. "You didn't answer me," I said. She remained silent, fingers coiled tightly in her lap. Her nails, sharper than obsidian, tapped once, then stopped. "I tremble," she finally spoke, voice barely louder than a dream, "because you're impossible. Because I'm human. Because you are alive in ways we killed in ourselves millennia ago." I sat up slowly, watching her skin shimmer beneath the transparent folds of her silken armor. For the first time, I noticed her own chest rise and fall, not mechanical. Not forced. Breathing. "What happened to your people?" I asked. She turned her head away, but didn't flee. "When we faced extinction during the cracking wars, we stripped ourselves of vulnerability. Our bodies evolved. Emotion, love, biological dependence, it all became threats to survival. We built coldness into our blood. We forgot what it meant to need." Her voice broke. Just slightly. "And now," she continued, "we're dying. Slowly. Elegantly. But without hope. We can't reproduce anymore. Our genetics have locked. And you think you're broken. I am not broken, human," she snapped, suddenly rising to full height. Her voice echoed through the chamber like thunder, but it shook less this time. "I am finished." I stood too. Close enough now to feel her heat radiating through her armor. "You're not finished," I said, voice low. "You just haven't been awakened." She tilted her head. Her fingers twitched at her sides, then flexed again. "You speak like a prophet." "No. I speak like someone who's been alone too long. Like someone who knows what it's like to be touched for duty, but never seen." That broke something in her. Not loudly. But visibly. She stepped forward, just once, and lifted one clawed hand toward me. It hovered near my skin, then retreated. "You're not afraid." "I am. But not of you." "Then of what?" "Of leaving this chamber without knowing what you truly feel right now." She looked down at her hand. Slowly, cautiously, she removed her gauntlet. Beneath it was not armor. It was skin. Smooth. Scaled like pearls, but pulsing faintly with heat. The glow I thought I imagined, it was real. "Touch me," she whispered, "and I will allow it. But do not mistake curiosity for desire." "I won't," I said. "But you might." And I touched her. Not forcefully. Not boldly. Just enough to let her know this wasn't a test. Her fingers locked with mine instantly, her body's reaction betraying her words. A tremor rippled through her arm and spread to her jaw, her throat, her chest. Her pupils dilated. Her breathing accelerated. Then, something happened I don't think she expected. She stepped backward. She was afraid. I felt that, she said, breathless. I know. It's not supposed to happen. But it did. She turned away sharply, gripping the wall as if it could ground her. Her entire spine glowed now, faint but steady. She hissed in her native tongue, something guttural and conflicted. When she turned back around, her eyes were softer. I need to understand what you are, she said. I'm not special, I replied. I'm just willing. Willing to what? To give without taking. To feel without fear. To show you that your body isn't useless. That your soul isn't extinct. She walked to me then. No pretense. No armor. Only the raw confusion of someone discovering emotion like fire for the first time. She reached out again, and this time, her hand rested flat on my chest. My heartbeat thudded against her palm. Her fingers flexed. Her breath hitched. You're loud inside, she whispered. You make me louder. She didn't smile. I don't think she knew how. But her mouth trembled like a shoreline meeting waves for the first time. Come, she said. She guided me past the chamber, into a corridor of shimmering light and soft echoes. Walls vibrated with every step. This place was alive, somehow responding to her pulse. We entered a second chamber, smaller, warmer, filled with what looked like floating petals suspended in anti-gravity mist. This is the chamber of convergence, she said. None of my kind have used it in 200 years. What happens here? She turned to me. We explore what we were before extinction. I let her lead. Let her move around me like a slow orbit. Her fingers ran over my shoulders now, my back, the curve of my neck. Her touch wasn't practiced. It was discovered. Your temperature rises with proximity, she said. Your scent deepens. Your skin becomes alert. It's called anticipation. She closed her eyes. I want that. I stepped forward. You already have it. And then, in the floating silence of that room, with galaxies swirling outside the walls, her mouth touched mine. It wasn't fire. It was gravity. She tasted like frozen fruit and lightning. Her lips moved unsurely, but with aching hunger. Her body pressed into mine, a tall, elegant sculpture of alien power unraveling into need. She gasped. Pulled back. Touched her lips like she didn't trust them. I felt it again, she whispered. Lower. In me. I leaned close. You're awakening. She stared at me with those impossible eyes. If you keep going, I might not want to stop. I smiled softly. Then don't. She didn't. Her kiss had changed something. Not just in her, but in the walls, the air, the ship itself. The chambers were bioreactive, symbiotic to her nervous system, and now that system had begun to awaken. Petals glowed brighter. Gravity shifted gently around us. The pulse of the Virelian cruiser throbbed in rhythm with her breath. She pulled away from me, slowly this time, not in fear, but as if her body struggled to disconnect. I don't understand it, she said softly. This hunger, it's ancient. Primitive. I was trained to purge it. I reached out and gently touched the side of her face, scales cool but trembling. What you're feeling is trust. Intimacy. Something your empire may have forgotten, but your body hasn't. I shouldn't feel this with a human. You didn't choose it, I said. Neither did I. But it's real. She closed her eyes, and for a moment she let herself lean into my touch. Her towering frame folded closer, her breathing heavier now shallower. She was losing control, and some part of her didn't care anymore. But the moment shattered with a thunderous knock. The chamber doors flared red. Her guards stormed in without waiting. Your Majesty, stop. 3 of them aimed their neural staffs at me. One, tall, scaled, eyes burning, shouted, "He's altering your hormone signature. You're mutating." The Queen stood between us instantly, voice like sliced steel. "Lower your weapons. He's corrupting your code," the guard screamed. "We scanned your vitals. You're ovulating. You haven't done so in centuries." Jarlinith said nothing. That silence was louder than war. The guards looked at her, horrified. One dropped to her knees. He has triggered the blood phase, the forgotten cycle. You swore we had evolved beyond this. I thought we had, the Queen whispered. Their eyes turned to me. No longer confused, now furious. You'll destroy the throne, human, one hissed. I didn't force her, I said quietly. He didn't, Jarlinith confirmed. She turned to me, eyes not afraid, but burning with sudden clarity. Go back to your chamber, she said. Are you? Go. I obeyed. Not out of submission, but because something in her voice promised this wasn't the end. Hours passed. Or maybe days. The chamber held no clock. I lay alone, sleepless, skin still humming from her kiss. She didn't come. Until finally she did. When the door slid open, she walked in without her crown. No armor. No guards. Just the Queen. Bare and glowing. Her body had changed. Not drastically. But beautifully. Her chest rose fuller. Her veins glowed deeper. Her scent had intensified, no longer lunar spice, but something earthier. Fertile. Raw. Electric. I lost control, she said. No. You found it. She came to me. No hesitation now. She straddled me on the platform without a word. Her breathing shallow. Her hands trembling. Her mouth searching mine like a map she had once forgotten how to read. But when her hips pressed into me, slowly, uncertainly, she froze. She gasped. Her body arched back. Her eyes widened in confusion. I feel everything. And then she shook. From her thighs to her jaw. A sound escaped her lips that didn't belong to a queen. It was vulnerable. Feminine. Pleading. I held her hips and guided her gently. Don't think, I whispered. Feel. She moved again, and this time she didn't stop. It wasn't carnal. It wasn't mechanical. It was alchemy. Her body took me in like she had been designed for it. Muscles rippled. Nerves awakened. Light gathered beneath her skin and danced outward with each movement. She cried out, not in pain, but shock. This is impossible, she moaned. This union, it's restoring my systems. I can feel molecular repair. Hormonal replication. The ovary cluster is active again, how? I didn't answer. I just kissed her deeper. When we finished, she collapsed on top of me, chest heaving, body still pulsing with light. She buried her face in my neck, her long fingers tangled in my hair. I thought I was extinct, she whispered. I thought my orifice was ceremonial. A relic. And now? She smiled. Her first real smile. I think it's yours. We stayed like that until morning, or whatever counted as morning in this corner of the galaxy. When she finally stood, her body shimmered with color never seen before in Virelian physiology. Pink. Red. Even gold. Then her expression changed. They will come for me, she said. The houses. The science ministers. The warlords. They'll say I've betrayed evolution. You haven't, I replied. You've transcended it. Her eyes locked on mine. Then we need to act before they erase us. She turned and called something into the walls. A holographic interface spiraled open. Data streamed around us in alien glyphs. What are you doing? I asked. She smiled again, wilder this time. I'm rewriting the succession protocols. If I'm no longer sterile, I am no longer the last of my line. I stood beside her. And the father will be declared consort regent. I laughed. That'll go over well. Let them try to stop me, she said. They ruled with science. I will rule with resurrection. A long pause. She touched her stomach. Then looked up at me. I'm not just changing politically. I can feel the zygote forming. The DNA threads are stabilizing. Human and Virelian, it's working. You're pregnant? I asked, stunned. She nodded. Slowly. I'm carrying a future neither of us was supposed to survive long enough to imagine. The lights flickered. An alarm began to blare softly through the walls. They've detected the change, she said. They're coming. I stepped forward. Then let's give them a reason to surrender. The throne room was in chaos. Lights flickered. Sirens screamed. The walls, once calm and reactive, were now convulsing with red veins of pulsing energy. Every sensor in the ship had registered what they called an anomaly. But it wasn't an anomaly. It was life. Jarlinith stood at the center of it all, her body radiant, her spine glowing with new color, her bare arms rippling with warmth. No longer just the queen of a dying race, she was something else now. Something they didn't have a word for. I stood behind her, armor draped loosely over my shoulders, a ceremonial sash wrapped around my waist, hers. The scent of her still lingered on my skin, in my mouth, in my heartbeat. She was no longer cold. And she was no longer alone. The ministers of logic arrived first. They hovered on grave pads, eyes blinking furiously, data chips spinning around their wrists. "You have violated the accord of purity," one barked. "She is with child," another hissed, recoiling. "The cycle has been reignited, this is genetic sabotage." "You call it sabotage," Jarlinith said, her voice echoing without strain. "I call it survival. You have doomed us to chaos." "No," she whispered. "I've given you continuation." Her voice changed something in the air. Even the walls quieted. For a long moment, even the alarms obeyed her. More entered the throne room, military, priestesses, old members of the inert houses. Some dropped to their knees in confusion. Others raised their weapons. I stepped forward, between them and her. "This isn't invasion," I said, voice calm. "This is rebirth." She mated with a human, one spat. "What makes you think we will ever follow such a disgrace? She gave you what none of your sterile minds could, a future." Jarlinith raised her hand. From her palm, a beam of soft green light emerged and projected the genetic helix of our child into the air. It spun with golden and crimson threads, perfectly stabilized, perfectly viable. The ministers stared in stunned silence. "A Virelian heir," she said. "And half human." One of them stammered, "That's impossible. The code should have rejected the splice." "It didn't," she said. "Because this isn't a splice. It's a bond. Something you erased from yourselves in the name of perfection." She turned to me then, eyes softer than I'd ever seen them. "You gave me more than a child," she said. "You gave me back what we never knew we'd lost." My fingers closed around hers. "You gave me something too," I whispered. "A place. A reason." She looked back at the throne. Then slowly, deliberately, she ascended the steps and stopped halfway. She reached behind her head, unhooked the ancient crown of silence, and held it high. The jewel at its center flickered dimly, still bound by the old codes. "Let the reign of silence end," she said. "From this moment on, we rule by flame, not frost." And she crushed the crown in her hand. Gasps rang out. No one had touched that artifact in over 500 years. She didn't flinch. The pieces fell at her feet like broken chains. She turned to the crowd. "Any who choose to follow me, follow love. Not fear. Function no longer guides us. Feeling does." A long silence. Then slowly, one by one, the guards kneeled. Then the scientists. Then the elders. Even the coldest among them lowered their heads. Because in her voice they heard something deeper than protocol. They heard truth. Later that night, in the star chamber, she lay beside me with her hand on her stomach. "Do you think it will be a daughter?" she asked. "Does it matter?" She smiled. "No. It only matters that it lives. You rebuilt an empire from one moment of feeling. You gave me the moment," she said. "And now I'll give you a kingdom." We lay in silence for a while. The stars outside the chamber drifted like a dreamscape. Then she spoke again, softly. "When I told you my orifice was useless, I believed it. I thought I was just an echo of power, a figurehead of extinction. And now..." She turned her head. Her lips brushed mine. Her voice was barely a whisper, but it echoed in every part of me. "Now I know, my orifice wasn't the part you changed. It was my soul." She closed her eyes. And for the first time in her long, cold reign, she slept. Peacefully. Warmly. In love. And in the heartbeat between then and tomorrow. The galaxy changed forever.